Howdy folks, Doc here with Last Best Tool, and a little while ago I did a video on this Weehaw Electrician's Hammer. Just a sweet little design, lighter weight than most, pretty much straight forks on the back, nice flat surface on the top so you can get in close to things, especially corners. The problem I pointed out was it's hard to find, at least in America. And if you find it online, generally there's a large shipping fee associated with it. It is available in a few places. It's usually about 50 bucks plus shipping. Sometimes you can get it for $100 without the shipping charge. And then it is also available a lot on eBay, it seems, maybe some overseas sellers. Great design. But there are other electrician's hammers, and I wanted to point out a couple of them, and it's these two. This is a Greenlee here. Greenlee makes a lot of electronics equipment, tools, etc. And it is a little bit different than a standard claw hammer, and it's primarily this part right up here. If you compare that, say, to a conventional hammer, you can see that it sticks out quite a bit further. And apparently the idea is, if you're working inside boxes or, within studs, things like that, you're going to want this extra piece to reach in a little bit further. Whereas a lot of hammers, they're pretty short. In fact, I was comparing some. Here's a framing hammer, and some people asked me about my thumbnail here. I actually hit that with a hammer, a big old Estwing hammer, 20-some ounce hammer, with a finishing nail I was using. I should have just grabbed the right tool, but I didn't have it handy. I had my nice big old Estwing. But anyway, this is a 20-ounce smooth face framing hammer. Here's another from Klein. Both these are Klein, both 20 ounces, wood, steel. But look how short that head is, or how close it is to the center line of the handle. So they really move these things up close for that design. It's actually a great design right there. And speaking of hammers, let me point out this one. It's just sitting here as a flex. This thing now, I did a video on it a long time ago when I was talking about bucket list tools. I just always wanted one of the snap-on claw hammers. I thought it was ridiculous. This thing now sells for, off the snap-on truck, $115.50. It's a claw hammer. It's made of steel. That's part of the advantage of it. 16 ounce here, and it's got a handle with multiple grip positions. So that's why you would want to buy this. Instead, I just like it. I like the snap-on branding's kind of fun. Someday I'll sell it and retire. But anyway, the electrician's hammers also tend to have a straighter set of kind of the nail pullers here. They're used for, getting into spots, moving things often, not just pulling nails. And of course, some regular claw hammers have an additional little nail puller. It's an old Craftsman. I love this thing. Bought it, I think, in high school. But I was looking at these angles, and check this out. This one, this is an old Estwing leather washer handle. If you don't know about these, what they do, you can see the bottom there. What they do is they actually have a whole bunch of leather washers, just like washers you'd put on a bolt, kind of. But what they do in the design is, this is just a metal shaft under here, and then they stack leather washers, and each one of these lines there is an individual leather washer. So it's just, cowhide basically. They stack them on there, throw a couple of little artistic elements in there. Those can be plastic, they can be metal, there's all kinds of things people put in, and then they put a cap on it and press it and squish those tightly. Then they polish it up on like a grinder, or contour it, or do whatever they want, and then they lacquer coat it. So that's kind of the Estwing leather handles. I don't know if they're the most comfortable. They certainly show a lot of wear. It was pretty popular with knives, knife handles years ago, almost the cowboy days. It was an upgrade to just wood. But anyway, look at the angle bend there. I was comparing it. This one always had a pretty steep angle in my opinion, and this one's even steeper if you look at that. I mean, it really drops down. So it does have good leverage, but it's very hard to get it in places because you almost have to have the handle vertical or horizontal, or, go sticking way into the surface area that you're trying to work with. And that's where the flatter ones come in. If you can slide this in, the handle doesn't have to be, let's say you're trying to get this flat up against something, you can see this angle here doesn't require the hammer to be bent in. So if you're trying to work inside studs or close to things or boxes or whatever, you don't have to have as much room for the handle, but in this case you have to have more room here. Now this is a Greenlee that is made in China. It's got a fiberglass handle. It does have that extra long front end here, you know, and a little bit shallower bend on the fork back here. There's another one that's Southwire. This one takes it up a notch. Southwire, first of all, they put a tether port in it, or a lanyard port in case you're working up high. It is very similar in the head size. Now this one, if you buy one of these, Acme Tools has these for about $44, these Greenlee hammers here. And they're both, if you look at the size, they're both 18 ounces. You can barely read it because, you know, oftentimes you're pounding with the side of the hammer. But this is a Southwire here. It too is made in China. It's kind of black out a little bit with the Southwire copper accents there. Similar type handle, but the Southwire actually has a little bit longer handle, so they were able to put that hole in the bottom. So the inside of it is probably the same. They just changed the handle, the back of the handle a little bit. Again, it's got that extra long part up here. And I'll show you again with that Craftsman just how big that is. So if I line that up center to center, you can see I've got almost an extra inch sticking out the front. So if you're trying to get inside something where you're going to run into an obstruction, that works. But then check this out. These are Romex staple pullers. So not only does it have the nail puller in the back there, but you've got these little finer points that you can generally get under a staple or pull wire or a lot of other things. And this one you can buy at Home Depot, at least Home Depot online, that's where I got it, for $23. Or you can buy it on Amazon for $23, and it, I think, comes from Home Depot because the price is exactly the same. I digress on that. So here it is, another electrical hammer option. And of course, I've done videos on more the Lineman hammers, which are definitely electrical hammers. And this also shows you why you may want that overstrike protection, which was one of the features here on this Weehaw hammer. You know, when you miss and actually strike the handle. So, you know, a lot of weight there. It's easy to bung up something like this. But this is a fiberglass handle, so it's holding up quite well. It's kind of a old Klein, nice and long, like a little tiny sledgehammer. And then if you wanted more features, Milwaukee's also got a Lineman hammer with a few other things. Solid chunk on what feels like a nylon reinforced fiberglass handle, a little bit newer, and again does have the lanyard hole, whereas the earlier Klein does not. So there it is, a couple of additional electrical hammers if you're interested in such things. It is kind of different using something that sticks out that far compared to, I mean, look at that contrast there as far as the position of the head. That's quite a bit different when you're using it. Different use, but still kind of a nice option. Hammers are one of my favorite tools. Nice, simple, yet still a lot of variation. Let me know your thoughts. And with that, Doc out.